Welcome back, everyone, to the Poketable podcast. This is episode 9 of the series where two small business owners kind of dive into the world of running an online Pokemon shop, as well as going over the latest Pokemon card news, market updates, all kinds of things related to Pokemon. I'm joined by Alex from PokeLegends TCG. Make sure to like and subscribe. Leave us a question for next week's episode to dive into. But with that out of the way, I think we can go ahead and get started about last week's Pokemon news. Alex, you want to kick us off with the first thing?
Yeah, so the first thing is we found out that the SIR Charizard is real, you guys. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely encourage you to check it out. I mean, that was definitely the crown jewel, in my opinion, of the secret rares. We got a glimpse of a few other ones, though, too. There's a gold Charizard, and the golden cards.
Yeah.
Those are what's really interesting, because the last couple sets, the gold cards have actually been pretty sought after.
Right.
Like
the most popular
gold,
one, like the most expensive and valuable cards in the set.
Yeah, and it's that's the case with the Japanese sets and the English. So those gold cards, man, those are going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how the SIR Charizard stacks up against the gold Charizard. So
yeah,
we got some sick secret rares. There's also the Mega Sharpedo. That was
the
in there.
Oricorio with Shinji Kanda.
And the Oricorio, yes. And we found out that was actually going to be the one of the promo cards and the UPC, right? So we'll talk a little more about that. But we found that out. So Logan, what do you think? Okay, because that Charizard SAR, I mean, that's got to be worth a ton of money at release, right?
We've already seen it on eBay. The Japanese Charizard is being listed on eBay for over $700, which is insane for Japanese. Now, to be fair, I think a lot of this has to do with, it's the release of a new set. There's always going to be, price hikes at the very beginning as they kind of settle down over the next couple of weeks. But to start off at $700, I think is crazy. I think it goes to show just how strong of an artwork, this is, as well as sort of where we're at in the hobby right now. I think this set is gonna be a strong one. I think with the Shinji Kanda artwork for the Oricorio, the Mega Charizard X, SAR, and MUR Mega Ultra Rare, which is the gold one. I think we have a pretty big set on our hands.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about, since this is such a small set, pull rates are going to be slightly, you would think they're going to be slightly better than a couple past sets we've seen, like with, and with it being a standalone set, right? Like with,
we haven't had one of those, it feels like, in a long time.
With like, to get the Mega, or the gold Gardevoir in Mega Symphonia, you can't pull that from Mega Brave. You have to get it from Mega Symphonia. So I do think it's interesting to see how the value of some of those top hits is going to change as more product gets released into the market.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just because, people post their success more often than their failures, but I'm seeing a ton of people pull the Mega Charizard X SAR, which is cool. I think that is such a sought after card. I think so many people want it. Having more of it, I think, is only a good thing. I think that it definitely means that the market price is going to take a hit for investors, but it's like, I don't know if that's really who we want to be pleasing right now in the hobby. So I'm here for it. I think we should see better pull rates, at least because of the smaller set and the guaranteed hits in a Japanese box. So I'm here for it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so just like I mentioned, they're putting the Oricorio in as a promo of the UPC. What do you think of that? Because that kind of hit me from kind of left field, because Shinji Kanda, he's just he's really one of the top illustrators. I mean, he's the one behind the Giratina V. I think that's actually your favorite card, right?
It's
One
it,
of one
yeah.
of them.
From Sword
And
and Shield, yeah, yeah.
from Lost Origin, yeah. I thought it was interesting how that was put as a promo instead of, as a card you'd have to pull. So I don't know.
It
I thought that was
it
interesting.
it is interesting. I think that it kind of goes back to the pull rates that we were just talking about with Inferno X. I think
Yeah,
it appeals to the average fan a lot more.
sure, sure. Yeah,
People can get their hands on a full SAR like promo from Shinji Kanda. It's
yeah,
a gorgeous card. I'm gonna be honest. Like I really like it. I think it's another home run by Shinji Kanda, and so having it
yeah,
in a UPC just means that it's a lot more accessible. Now, UPCs are going to be a little bit hard to come by, I think, but
yeah. Oh, yeah,
you know, we'll talk about the pre-order, event of that. But I think it's a good thing. I think that not everything has to be an investment,
yeah.
and we saw with the Seismitoad from the Black Bull illustration rare, like it's just an illustration rare, but that card is going for over $200, and I think that I think it's a matter of people wanting it as an investment, and I think that's fine. It's just it gets fatiguing whenever
Sure.
everything is an investment, everything is sought after, everything is pumped. So
Yeah,
I think it's refreshing to see a promo like this be included in a regular box that's guaranteed to have it. So I'm excited about it. Do I want everything to be like this? No, in
yeah,
the investment part of it, there are bits of it that are fun. Um, but I think giving this one to the fans is a good call.
yeah. No, I like that. That's a good take. And speaking of sought after, so we got word that Paldain Fates is getting a new
Hmm.
collection box. It's
Yep.
getting 11 packs. What do you think of this? Because I kind of had a hunch that perhaps Paldean Fates was just kind of over. Maybe we'd see a couple more restocks here and there, but I I'm I'm kind of surprised that they went back that far to
Yeah.
Paldean Fates, and we're coming out with a new collection box. So what do you
Yeah.
think of this? It's got 11 packs. Obviously the Bubble Mew is skyrocketing. And
Yep.
the Charizard SAR is also skyrocketing.
Right.
What do you think of this? Because I think this is just this is gonna fly off the shelves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I think that like having more Paldean Fates is a good thing right now. I think prices were starting to rise, especially for like booster bundles.
oh yeah,
Paldean Fates is starting to get on the cusp of like sort of 151 that we're seeing. Not in
yeah,
the sense of the hype. It is a hype set. It's a
yeah,
stronger set in Scarlet and Violet. But I think that what I just mean is that it's starting to be one of those products that are printed less and less. And what we thought we would see from here on out is just small restocks, small bundles, maybe some sticker collections that pop up here and there that you're gonna have to scramble on Target for. Um,
yeah.
but to have an entirely new product, a large product, 11 packs is a lot.
11 packs. Yeah,
I think I think it's interesting,
yeah,
and it kind of goes into sort of my theory about what Pokemon is doing to kind of combat the current market,
hmm,
um, and it is a route that Pokemon has decided to go, or at least I think they've decided to go.
yeah.
But I think it'll be a fun set, a fun box to go for. It will absolutely be uh, really sought after. It'll be some weird drop thing, I imagine. I don't know which retailers are getting it, but it'll probably be scooped up very very quickly. It might drop the price of Paldean Fates a little bit. It's not gonna.
Mhm.
It'll be a dent.
It
I'm
won't.
warning
Yeah,
people now. This is not
yeah,
going to bring us back to MSRP. It's not going to
yeah,
lower the price significantly.
yeah. It'll
Just
be a
being on.
short-term dent. Yeah.
Correct. Yes, correct. It will
Very.
a month or two, and then it's gone again, and now it starts to rise again.
Yeah. Now you mentioned, a little bit about Pokemon strategy right now. So I think it's interesting that if Pokemon wanted to put more product out into the market, like more, let's just say more packs out into the
Sure.
market, you know, the the distribution of a big collection box right like that
Yes.
is is a lot more challenging than like
Right.
booster bundles. You know,
Right.
like you could put a lot more packs out into the market a lot more quickly
Yep.
with booster bundles than you can with a big collection box. I mean, it's not efficient. You have 11 packs spread out on this, this 3 foot long box.
Right.
You know, you have promo cards dotted in there,
Yep.
like the Great Tusk EX card
Yep.
and a couple others. It's not very efficient. Like you can't make them that fast. You can't package them that fast. I just think that's interesting. Like why
Yeah.
wouldn't Pokemon, if your goal is to let's kind of curb the market a little bit, your goal in my opinion would be to create a ton of booster bundles because those are just since this is a special set, that'd be the most efficient way to get more packs out. What do you think of that?
Yeah. I mean, I think efficiency is the key word there. I think investors care about efficiency. I think fans care about packs.
Yeah.
They want product to open, and sort of that's sort of the key. I think that Pokemon has taken, their perspective in it is that investors are going to put this on a shelf. They're going to, have this, store it, maybe resell it, and having a big box makes that a little bit more difficult versus the average fan that really does just want to rip packs. And that's, I think, who they're targeting right now. They don't care anymore about selling anymore. Or like Pokemon doesn't care about selling any more product. They've got that down. So what they want to do is appeal to the average fan that just wants to rip packs that hasn't gotten to over the past year now. And so I think having these big boxes is something that the average fan's not going to care about. They're going to say, oh yeah, or they're not going to care about the downsides of it. They're going to say, oh, this big box, has a ton of packs that I haven't been able to get in a while, and I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to rip it. Versus the sealed investor or the reseller is going to have to anticipate where they're going to store it, how they're going to store it. If they resell, they're going to have to deal with, they're going to have to go through Facebook Marketplace for local or, larger shipping costs because it's a large box. So I think that it's not about necessarily, the efficiency of getting packs out. It's about who their target audience is right now. At least that's my take.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think that there are pros and cons. I mean, like,
Yeah, there always
only
are.
have so much. Like, you only have so much shelf space at a Target. How
I
many of
know.
those collection boxes can you put, on a Target shelf? Versus like booster bundles, you could stock it full. But
Yeah.
I do get that too. As a business owner, that'll be a pain in the butt to ship.
Yeah.
If we manage to get any for our store, that would be a huge pain to ship. It would cost a pretty penny to
Yeah.
ship. So I get that take too. It's not a very when it comes to like reselling or selling from a business perspective, it's not very efficient to ship. So that's interesting.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
One thing that I wanted to so this releases in, I think, December, but we
Yeah.
recently had a drop on Pokemon Center, and that's the UPC.
Yeah.
And that was live for about an hour and a half. Were you able to secure any product?
I did get one. Yes.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
one. I got one UPC, and I gotta tell you, Logan, I might rip it myself.
Yeah, I know. It's such a cool box.
Yeah.
And the promos. To be clear, this is the UPC that will have the Oricorio Shinji Kanda promo inside of it, as well as the new Mega Attack Rare that we'll see in English in a couple of future sets. That's the one where it has like the Japanese, attack in front of it. It kind of looks like a comic book style art. It has both of those promos. So this product is going to be really fun for most people.
Yeah. Those two promo cards together might be the best two in any box, and I can remember.
I can't think of anything,
I
either.
can't
And
think of
and
anything
and and the
even
packs
close.
are diverse as well, if I recall.
Yeah. The Phantasmal Flames, Mega Evolution. I mean, they have like three or four, all across
Yeah.
the board. So, and I think
Yeah, it'll be
all of
it'll
the
be cool.
packs were pretty sought after.
Yeah.
So, I don't remember if there was Journey Together in there or not.
And
I don't
so we
think
saw it
so.
was Pokemon Center, and we will likely continue to see pre-orders for other retailers. I don't
Yeah.
know if Target has dropped their pre-orders yet, or if GameStop will have it. That UPC releases on the same day as Phantasmal Flames, which is November 14th, if I recall correctly. So just keep an eye on different sites for pre-orders. If you don't manage to get one, now, uh, at least with how the Pokemon Center drop was, they seem to have focused on printing a lot of these.
Yeah.
Is it enough to combat, resellers and have product on the shelves? No, but it might mean that on release day there are more than what we saw, with in terms of booster boxes for Mega Evolution or something like that.
Yeah. 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 I mean, the UPC will, you know, it's going to be one of the most sought after UPCs that I can remember. So
Correct.
I just think
Yes.
this is going to be so. Pokemon won't be able to print enough of this. So
No, well, you'll like I said,
just the
you'll need
promos alone will be super sought after.
right. You'll need to be on top of it. I'm just saying, I think
Yeah.
that this might be an opportunity to where, if you want something and you're able to, get there early, you might have a better chance than if you were going for like a booster box yesterday.
Yeah. If you
Um,
see it, get it.
yes, definitely. All right. I think that kind of wraps up the news for this past week. A lot of it was,
Yeah.
came down to, Inferno X reveals, as well as the Paldain Fate new collection box, as well as Phantasmal Flames pre-orders. Now, kind of switching gears to, reflecting on our businesses over the past week. Alex, anything that you want to share about, what you've been up to with Poke Legends TCG and sort of maybe what's next?
Yeah, the two biggest things, and I know you want to talk about this too. Pre-orders for Inferno X, so we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna start shipping those this Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So that is gone very well. And then I'm also gearing up for my next big English drop. So that'll
Ooh,
be
nice.
next weekend. So
Cool. Cool.
yeah. So tune in for the podcast, the week after next to see how it goes. But yeah, I'm super excited.
And just, to clear it up, Alex and I kind of do a similar thing where we have a drop and we only give the date and time on our newsletter. So if you
Yes.
want to participate in his drop, you'll need to subscribe to his newsletter because he'll send out an email a couple days before, the day before. I'm not sure how he's going to do it, letting you know of the exact time and date that the drop takes place. Because I know that over the past couple drops, he's had like 20, 30 people on his site, at the drop time, and things get snatched up super quickly. So the
Yeah.
newsletter is the best way to, keep, your ear to the ground with this drop.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
In terms of Zippy's Card Corner, so we might get into this a little bit later, but I have opened up my shop to Canada. So before this past week, I have only shipped and sold to US customers. Now, as of a couple days ago, I opened up my shop to Canada, and we're gonna see. So I've grown my Instagram audience, and you can kind of gauge, you can kind of see where your viewers are from by country, and I have about 5 to 10% of my viewers in Canada. So at least my thought is, if I open up, my site to Canada, well, that introduces the opportunity for maybe 5 to 10% more sales. So we're going to try that out. It means international shipping, which means higher shipping costs for customers. And, if that's what people want, I'm just giving them the option to do that. I'm not saying, I'm encouraging it, because the shipping seems like a lot to me. But maybe that's just, my naive US only, shipping brain. But it's there for Canadians that want it. So I think that was sort of the big thing around the site this week, outside of Inferno X pre-orders. Alex, I'll let you start. how have pre-orders gone for you? What does that process look like? And how do you anticipate this going into, release week next week?
The pre-orders have gone well. I think
Okay.
that I've learned I learn a little bit more for every new
Right.
release. It feels like,
Yeah.
I feel like maybe uh, I went live with pre-orders maybe a little bit too early. I went
Okay.
live about 8 days or so before
Okay.
release. I think that might have been a little bit too early, believe it or not,
Sure.
just because of how volatile Japanese sets can be.
Mm-hmm.
Like usually like a couple days after release, prices fall pretty substantially.
Right.
So the earlier you um, you know you secure product, typically you're paying a premium price.
Yep.
Now I did that though because you know it was Inferno X. It was a
Right.
Charizard set. I mean, we thought for sure that this was going to be a super hype set, and I still think that way.
Yeah.
But I think people are doing the smart thing where they're waiting a little bit longer before buying, and I totally get that. So maybe and for the next release, I'll let pre-orders go live maybe a couple days before release.
Yeah.
But they've gone well. But one thing I wanted to ask you about Canada,
Sure.
so is that live now? Are you
Yeah. Yeah.
you are
It is
okay?
live. There's a little drop down on the site now to switch
Yeah,
between US, USD, and Canadian dollars.
yeah.
So it's real, dude.
Now on the back end, how does that change things? Is that um,
So what
I think you charge a flat rate for shipping for US, right?
correct.
So with
Yeah.
Canada, how does that change?
Yeah, so for US, it's flat rate shipping. It doesn't matter if your order is small or large, you will pay the exact same rate as the other person next to you. Now with Canada and potentially more markets in the future, we've gone with a more dynamic shipping rate. And so it's going to track, your order's weight and potential boxes, and kind of give you an estimate there. And
Mhm.
so it's similar to other, orders with US. Basically, it will charge the customer what it thinks the shipping rate will be. And then on the back end, when I receive that order and I'm looking at labels, then I can decide, okay, what's the actual, what's the one that is going to, what's the rate going to be like for this exact box that I just packed? I know the exact weight, exact dimensions. And I'm hoping that the dynamic rate that Shopify gives me is at least close enough to where it sort of kind of makes sense.
Gotcha. Have you gotten a ballpark yet of what shipping costs compared to US?
So with US, we offer flat rate shipping. It's around $9 to $10. Found that kind of to be the sweet spot for orders that are a little less and orders that are more.
Yeah.
With Canada, I tested it out, and we're looking at like $30 in shipping. Now, that doesn't include tariffs either. So that's sort of where I'm also, handing the cost off to customers. And I'm transparent about that. This is not something that I am telling people to do. It's
Yeah.
just giving them the option because I've received a ton of DMs saying, "Hey, do you ship here? Do you ship here?" And I have to say, no, unfortunately not. And so this is just another avenue for people to buy from my store if they want.
Yeah. I mean, and they'd have to pay that tariff, if they bought from the US from anyone. It's
Correct.
not just
Yeah.
us. So yeah,
Correct.
no. No, it's interesting. Let me know, how that goes. That's interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, and do they pay the tariff up front or do they pay that separately?
No, they'll pay it with the carrier
Okay,
at customs.
gotcha. No, that's awesome. Um, yeah, keep me updated. And so, how did pre-orders for Inferno X go for you? I know that we
Oh
talked a
yeah.
little bit offline,
Yeah.
but definitely
So
excited to see what your order count is now.
right. So with Mega Brave and Mega Symphonia, we did pre-orders very similar to how we did with Inferno X. And pre-orders sold out on the same week, on release week. And, I had to keep buying more. And all in all, I probably sold between 30 and 40 boxes across, the first 2-ish, 3 weeks of Mega Brave, Mega Symphonia. And my thought process was, well, Inferno X is going to be bigger. So I targeted between 50 and 60 boxes on release. And I kind of took a page out of other businesses that I saw where, they kind of dollar cost average their orders, their pre-orders. And so, you have, you'll buy maybe 20 boxes on, 2.5 weeks before. And then a week later, you buy another 20. And then, a couple days before release, you buy the rest of your 20. And as long as they don't sell out, you'll get them still within the first couple of days of release. And that's sort of what I did. And I think that at the end of the day, I don't think it mattered too much. I think that the difference between pre-order price and price after release is going to be large no matter what. And so it's really, from a business perspective, you're really banking on release week being a big week for your pre-orders. So I've probably sold, my pre-orders have been split into 2 waves. So I'll get one wave on Monday and then another wave, in the middle of the week next week. And so I've probably sold, I'm almost out of wave 1. So if people want them shipped out by Monday, I'm almost sold out of those. I think I have just a couple of boxes left. And then wave 2 is completely, we still have a lot of that left. And so I'm hoping that will be enough to kind of carry me through the next week and a half, 2 weeks. And we'll go from there. Maybe that means that next release, maybe I buy more boxes. I don't know. But I'm content with how things have gone. I think that prices are so weird. I think you have a lot of businesses that, Alex has mentioned it before, but it's tough to compete with businesses that will drop their price to where they're not making any money. Because they're focused on selling volume rather than profit. And that makes, I get where they're coming from, but I had a guy email me today saying, hey, I was going to order from you, but then I saw this other price that was a little bit better. And so I ordered from them. Can you make sure that my order didn't go through with you? And I was like, yeah, I can check for you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And my point is that it's just with pre-orders and engaging price, along with the Japanese chaos with up and down prices, as you approach release and post-release, you're also having to compete with other businesses that are adjusting their prices as well. So it's a bit of a tricky game, and I kind of view every release as a learning opportunity. And hopefully we get better for Mega Dream EX that comes out in November.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I know that Facebook Marketplace also, and this is, a little thing I'll talk about for viewers watching that maybe want to start their own store. Facebook Marketplace is also a really good platform for selling product locally. So Logan, I know that you've had success doing that, and I have too. So that's another avenue that you can use to sell products. So I wanted to make sure I threw that out there.
And I appreciate you doing that, because one thing that I want to call out from last podcast that Kent really, hammered home was building relationships. With Facebook Marketplace, you're meeting in person. You're meeting, your buyers, your collectors. And I built a lot of good relationships between myself as a business and, my buyers that, have come back time and time again from Facebook. So that's another important aspect of owning your business is the relationship part of it, and to not be afraid to kind of do things personally. And, driving to meet up with local buyers, because, more often than not, at least your local buyers are maybe not as familiar with Japanese. And so they're like, oh, this is kind of cool on Facebook that I saw. Maybe I'll buy more from you next time. So anyways, just as a reminder that is also a very good way to kind of get your name and your business out there.
Yeah. And speaking about our businesses, one of my it's probably my favorite topic that we're about to get into the podcast. So for viewers watching, Logan and I have built our audiences very differently. We've built our audiences very differently, and we've had a lot of success. Both of us have, in our own way. So Logan is like Logan is awesome.
Thanks.
He was able to build his audience from like 500 followers to now almost 14,000 with pretty much purely organic content.
Let me see how many days it's been. Keep going.
It's probably been like 4 months, maybe something like that.
132 days.
132 days. So
of
just
daily uploads.
4.5 months. Like 4.5 months. So, and Logan has done that by posting a reel every day, by getting better and better and better with his content. Getting better about, when to, change the camera angle to keep the audience engaged, what visualizations to use, what audio to use, and so on. And I've learned a lot from Logan. I've tried to do some of the things that Logan does in his videos. I have not built my audience that way. And I'm going to be very transparent about all this on the podcast because I think it's an important topic to talk about.
Yeah.
I have built a lot of my audience from paid ads. So what I've done is every time I would get sales, I would put a percentage of that into ads, and I would direct customers to my Instagram profile. So my strategy was I would sell product, obviously, divert the money to ads, divert people to my profile. They could see I'm legitimate. I post consistently. I'm talking about my store. I'm talking about the market. I'm talking about sets you should buy, sets you should stay away from.
Right.
And then given enough time, right? They're always seeing my face on their feed. Given enough time, they'll see, oh, okay, this guy's he's actually a legitimate store. Okay.
Right.
I'll go ahead and make the jump. I'll go ahead and buy a product from him.
Yeah.
And I want to be very clear that has worked for me.
Yeah.
Okay. So to give a little context, I'm pulling in consistently $10,000 to $15,000 a month in sales.
Yeah.
Pretty consistently now.
Yeah.
But at times that does not mean that I am not super jealous about how Logan was able to build his audience with just organic content. So I'll pause there. Logan, I'll let you talk a little bit more about this subject.
Sure. Yeah. So, kind of some history on Zippy's Card Corner. So I started my business back in last August, so 2024. And, I think, you hear from, other businesses like Brian from Pokémon, who kind of kickstarted a lot of businesses with his content, saying that content is king. And you gotta get your face in front of the camera. You gotta build trust, or else no one's gonna buy from you. You can have all the product in the world, but if no one knows who you are, they're not gonna want to get Pokemon from you. And I thought I understood that, but for the first 6-7 months, 8 months honestly, I was really focused on like static posts about the latest Pokemon card news, like showing Pokemon cards, showing my own collection. Rarely showing my face at all, not being consistent. And, it was kind of 3-4 months in that I started turning to ads. And I took a different route from Alex here with ads where I was directing them to my store. And in hindsight, I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I had directed them to my page and profile to, show them that they can trust me rather than, hey, here's a random link to a random site that sells Pokemon cards at a price that's lower than others. So I saw a little bit of success from it, but not what I wanted to be doing from here on out. And so what kickstarted the daily content and sort of my current business and what it is today was actually Alex, posting a reel saying, hey, other Pokemon businesses, I've seen success from this. I'm going to challenge you to do the same. I want you to post a reel 1 day a week or once a day for 30 days with your face in front of the camera and just see where that takes you. And I committed to it, and I did that. And I think I grew from 500 to like 900 followers in the first 30 days, but I had a couple of videos get, quote unquote viral, compared to what I was getting. I think I was getting like 1 to 200 views. And then I had a couple of videos hit, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 views. And that was enough to kind of spark the motivation of like, okay, I've gained 300 followers in 30 days. I have some videos that have gone, in my head viral, and I notice that I'm getting better at content creation. So let's see what I can do if I just continue this. Well, lo and behold, that kind of snowballed. And I'd say that my content is a lot better than what it was. I'd say my content is actually probably pretty good. And I've gotten in a good rhythm of the content that I produce. I'm almost at 14,000 followers. I have visitors on the site every single day. This is night and day difference between what it was, 4 months ago before I started doing this. Like this has saved my business, in all honesty. And I don't mean that, I don't say that lightly. I truly mean that if it wasn't for this, I probably would have called it quits on the Pokemon business. And so that's where we're at. Now, one thing that has been interesting between Alex and I's businesses and our audiences is we're both honestly about the same follower count right now, around 13 to 14,000. Now, what I mentioned a second ago about how I've opened my store up to Canada, the reason for that is because the audience that I have on Instagram, that's sort of the main platform that I push people to my business from. I wish I posted more on YouTube. I wish I posted more on TikTok. I just haven't had the motivation to do it. That's a story for another time, but I can view most of my customers from Instagram. And what that means is I look at the views, I look at my followers and where they're from. And only about 40 to 50% of them are from the United States. And newsflash, that's all I have sold to over the past 4 months. And what that means then is, well, of the, let's simplify things and say 10,000 followers. Well, that means that only 4,000 to 5,000 are potential customers to my site. And that's way more than what had been before. And it's been enough up until this past month's drop. I don't think I have a big enough audience with the size of the drop that I had this past, month. And so, I have a big audience in Canada, a big audience in the UK, a big audience in Australia. I think that I have just come to terms that my audience is more scattered than, I want it to be. And, the way to kind of adapt is to see about shipping internationally. And there are cons to it, shipping costs, tariffs. I think that those definitely dissuade people from those international markets from buying from me. But right now, I have 4,000 people that are not able to buy that, that's the point of my content is to buy. I create content for entertainment, but at the end of the day, the goal is to get them to my site. Yeah. So I will also pause there because that's sort of where we're at now, and sort of my thought process moving forward with content creation and kind of gearing my site towards international shipping.
Yeah, and Logan kind of he highlighted it for sure. Like we're store owners first.
Yeah.
The content creation is to get people to trust us so that they go to our store and purchase from our stores. I mean, that's the main goal, right? Is building trust with our customers. That's a better way to put it. Building trust with our customers is our main goal behind creating content. It's not creating content to be a content creator.
Right.
So that's not what our goal is. And yeah, so I guess one of the good things about running ads is 98% of my followers are from the United States.
Yeah. That's 13,000 potential customers.
Yeah, yeah.
About.
Now there's a double-edged sword to this, and I wanted to
Yeah.
talk about this. So
Sure.
only about um, like 15% of my followers watch my stuff consistently. Maybe it's because they aren't on Instagram, doom scrolling, or what? Maybe
Right.
they're not on Instagram consistently. Maybe they, uh, maybe they don't have time to watch videos. Maybe it's my content isn't good enough for them to watch my videos consistently. That's very possible, and I've come to terms with that. Maybe I'm just not good enough yet with my content creation. But either way, that double-edged sword comes in because
Yeah.
Instagram sees that only like 15% of my followers watch my stuff consistently. That turns to maybe 1,000 to 1,500 views per video, and it's very hard for me to build my reach outside of my follower base because it's very bad for the algorithm. It's not going to show it to a bunch more people if my own follower base isn't watching.
Yeah.
So that is a bit of a double-edged sword when it comes to building your audience that way with paid ads.
Yeah.
So,
And I kind of just want to highlight that I don't think either approach is better than the other. I
Yeah.
think that there are pros and cons to both, and I
Yeah.
think it really comes down to what it is that you want and what your goals are.
Yeah.
Because I think that Alex and I are both seeing success. Don't get us wrong. We're both, I think, happy with where our businesses are and sort of where they're going. It's just that I think it's been ingrained in our brains that content is king when it comes to businesses, small businesses being successful these days. Because it's true. I think you're not going to be able to put your site on a store, especially when you're selling Pokemon cards, because the competition is so fierce. It really comes down to, why would I buy Pokemon cards at the same price or around the same price from this person versus this person? Well,
Right.
it's trust, and building that connection between this brand. And so, my frustrations are that I'm getting huge reach and seeing a lot of success from my content, but it's not translating the same into my business. And, I think to get sort of the same, if we're looking at, percentage of viewership, to get the same amount of US customers that Alex has potential, I would need about 30,000 followers. And that is no walk in the park. And, I probably have a good, several 6+ months of content posting daily before I could even potentially think about that. And while Alex can continue to run paid ads and get more people on his site, it's a different mentality and how you want to approach it.
Yeah.
If Alex and I could combine our business, we'd be unstoppable. But unfortunately, that's
that's
how it works.
Combining our stores, would be unstoppable. So I do want to highlight that neither strategy is wrong. I want to make it very clear.
Right.
I have found success with this strategy.
Yes.
And Logan has
more
found
success than me. To be clear, Alex's store performs much better than my store. So that is anyways, yes.
Yeah, but both strategies have proven very successful.
Yeah.
Now, to be fully transparent with you guys, I actually wish that I went Logan's route, and
Sure.
I had the ability to grow my audience organically. To be fully transparent, maybe that would I firmly believe that is better for the long run.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, and this is a topic that we're probably gonna talk about multiple times, and it'll be interesting as we bring on other store owners to see what their strategies are to building their audience.
Yeah, definitely. I think, yeah, I mean, do you want to go into sort of the idea of like, what kind of content, performs, in terms of your business and kind of give people insights into kind of what we've seen in terms of people having success, people having less success, things like that?
Yeah, so one of the topics we want to talk about is there are a bunch of different ways that we've seen businesses, particularly Pokemon card businesses.
Yeah.
We've seen different ways that they've grown. Some people have this weird ability to just pick up their phone, one take, no mic. They just use the phone's mic.
Yeah, they're just,
They don't even use any thumbnails for their videos, and they just blow up. It's like maybe they have that voice, that quirky personality. I don't know what it is. And then there are people that try and do what Logan does, similarly to what Logan does. Maybe not quite as good, where they're using visualizations. They have like a professional mic. They have a scripted video, right? They have it all scripted. There's no stuttering. There's no it was done in multiple takes probably and cut up.
yep.
As professional as possible. And they don't see nearly the success as the guy that just picks up their phone and just talks and blows up.
Yeah.
So I do think that's interesting. Like, and I think either one takes skill. Like Nostalgianomics is a great example. He
Sure.
can talk about useful, valuable content for 20 minutes straight.
He does
And
it every day.
he does it every day. I mean, sometimes he does it more than once a day.
Right.
And that's a skill that I think is very looked over. Having that ability to just talk straight for 20 minutes and not like choke over your words, have valuable content, and present it in a way that gets people to watch throughout the entire video. So yeah, I'll pause there. But
Yep.
Logan, let me hear your take on the different
Right.
strategies you've seen that businesses have used.
Yeah, so I think it's important to differentiate between short form and long form content.
Yeah.
Short form is Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. Long form are, 5 to 10 minute plus videos on YouTube. We will get into long form in a second, but short form specifically, because that's the thing that I think Alex and I both have a lot more experience with. I kind of think of what Alex just mentioned as kind of low effort versus high effort. Don't get me don't get it confused. Low effort does not mean low quality. As Alex mentioned, there are some people who are very, very good at flipping their camera on, speaking to their camera, without stuttering, and having a good, just having a good cadence, and being able to do that frequently. Because if you can do that every day, multiple times a day, that's a lot less effort than what I put into my videos every day. And growing your audience that way. Now, I will say, having been doing content daily for 4 months now, I'm seeing a lot of people in the Pokemon space. Businesses, content creators, people that are just talking about Pokemon investing. And I think I have a decent idea of kind of the space. And what I'm seeing is there are people that have popped up on my feed time and time again, that will post, low effort content. Again, I want to stress it's not low quality content because they're very good at what they do. The content has reach, obviously, and their videos are maybe, again, they're pointing their camera at their face. Maybe they remove the background and, slap on, a TCG player chart or a Pokemon card. or things like that, and they'll just talk, and maybe they'll have a couple of cuts in there, and they'll get a lot of views. The thing is as a business who's doing content creation, again, the goal is not content creation, but inherently we become content creators, and part of that is understanding what's happening, what's hype right now, what strategies are working. And so I'm sort of keeping tabs on certain people that I've seen kind of see a lot of success rate recently. And for these low effort videos, these low effort content creators, I see that they'll get a lot of views and a lot of engagement, but their follower count doesn't grow as much as I expect it to grow. Versus my account, I'll have weeks that pop off, but I'd probably say the average view count on my videos is probably somewhere between, 4 and 9,000 views, which is a lot. Consistently, that's awesome. I'm probably gaining about 1 to 200 followers a day on average. And I don't see that same growth with these content creators that are posting the lower effort content. And what that tells me is that maybe it doesn't build trust as much as you might want it to, as much as you might feel it should, with the engagement that you're getting. And so there's a difference, I think, between content that's going to get you followers versus content that's going to get engagement. And I'm starting to kind of figure that out as well, because I've had content, where I thought had a lot of views, but 0 people followed from that video. And it struck me as almost as a bug on Instagram, because I would have a whole week where I posted videos. And again, I'm getting averaged on 4 to 9,000 views a video, and no one is following. And I think it's just because maybe that content isn't followable content. And maybe that's a difference between the low effort content and the high effort content, where, low effort content, I see it. I see people have low effort content videos that will get 1 million views. It will go super viral. Yeah. And then you'll click on their profile and they'll have, less than 1,000 followers. Yeah. And so it makes me think that maybe the high effort content is the content that builds trust more and gets people to consistently follow. Anyways, that's a lot of talking. Alex, I'll leave it off to you for a second.
Yeah, no, I think that was it's a great take, and I think at the end of the day, what we're seeing is different things work for different people.
Yes.
Logan's strategy, where how he's built his videos over time, and he's gotten better and better, and he's stuck with that form of content. That's worked for Logan, and I want to, for viewers watching, I think it's important to like Logan and I keep tabs on other content creators, other store owners, to see what works, what maybe we can take from that and incorporate it into our own content. I think that's very important for new store owners.
Yes.
Okay. Follow people like Logan's from Zippy's Card Corner. Look at what videos he does. Follow Alex Ketchum. Follow Brian from Poke&E. Follow these guys and take what works for them and try and incorporate it into your own content. But most importantly, do what you think that you'd be best at.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, if you don't think you'd be good at, no takes, just talking in front of the camera and going over valuable content, just from one take. If you don't think you'd be good at that, then something like what Logan is doing might work better, where it'll take some time investment. What Logan does is not easy, but that may be what works better for you in the long run. So, yeah. But most importantly, though, you need to educate yourself when it comes to content creation. All people like Logan and others is super important. And speaking of short term and or long form,
Yep.
short form and on long form content. Something Logan and I have talked a lot about is posting more on YouTube.
Yeah.
So both of us have a YouTube channel, but we don't really post much on there.
I know.
So Logan, I really want to get your take. Do you think you will start at any point in the future? Do you think you'll start posting more long form videos? And if so, do you have any ETA?
Sure. So, yes, the answer is yes. I do want to post long form content. I think that, as as a content creator, I've binged a ton of videos about content creation.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that people are saying, and it makes sense, is that you build sort of that sticky branding, that sticky loyalty with YouTube. With Instagram and shorts and reels and things like that, the content that people are seeing is quick. There's not a whole lot of time to understand someone's personality, get real detailed information, get their real hot takes, their opinions on Instagram. It's short dopamine hits, and then they're on to the next. Versus long form, if you can build a following on long form, that's where people go to you for you. I would imagine there's probably very few people on Instagram that open up their app every day and say, "Oh, what did Zippy's Card Corner post today?" I don't think I have
Yeah.
that many people that are doing that. Now, it doesn't mean that Instagram isn't pushing my content out to them and they see it, but they're not sticking around for my brand. Versus on YouTube and long form, if you can build up an audience where people are coming to you for your takes, for your your education details and things like that, that's gonna build a loyal following. That's gonna build trust like no other, and that's sort of the why behind I want to start doing long form. I think I will probably just start doing sort of a weekly, news. What was the last week like? Kind of like what we're doing today, on this podcast where we kind of go over the past week's news. I give my takes, you give your takes. I go over my business, but maybe just in more detail and more focused on my, site or things that are going on in my head and giving my takes. Maybe focusing on doing one long form video a week and having it be maybe 10 minutes long and just seeing where that goes, and maybe try and use my Instagram audience and kind of navigate them over to YouTube. That's sort of a big, perk, with both of our followings, is we have a good amount of people that we could transfer over. And so I think that's probably the strategy, and moving forward. It's just already content creation is hard, man. It's hard posting daily. It's hard, handling my full-time job. It's hard doing this podcast. Don't get me wrong. It's super fun. It's super rewarding. I'm glad I'm doing it, but it's hard. And tacking on long form content creation onto that feels tough.
Yeah.
But, I've been saying that this whole time, running a business is tough. Like, it's not going to be easy. So if you want to see the success that you're looking for, you're going to have to grind. And that's sort of the motivating factor for doing long form and starting that. So who knows? Maybe this week is the week we start.
Yeah. And so, like Logan talked about, we both have full-time jobs. We don't. We're not at the point now where our stores replace our full-time jobs.
Yeah.
We do the podcast, and we do everything that goes along with running a Pokemon card store too, shipping and doing things on the website.
Yeah.
Talking back and forth with suppliers.
Yeah.
Managing inventory, everything that goes with that, and then also the content creation on our Instagrams.
Right.
Tacking on a whole nother, like, okay, well, now, you want to do long form content on YouTube too. That's just another thing to sort of tack on.
Yeah.
And it makes it sort of challenging. But yeah, I guess my take, it's something I've been wanting to do for a long time.
Yeah.
It's figuring out a balance.
Right.
Like, is it better to post every day on Instagram, or is it better to post 3 or 4 times on Instagram and one YouTube video?
Yeah.
One long form content video. Is that better? I don't know. But we only have so much time in the day, so sometimes we have
Yeah.
to. Um,
There's a give and
to
take. There's a balance that you need to strike.
there's a balance, right? And that's kind of what I'm trying. That balance is what I'm trying to hone in right now.
Right.
Um, so I hope that includes creating long form content on YouTube. But we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. It's definitely in the back of my mind. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Content creation's hard, man. Running a
Yeah,
business is hard.
yeah,
I think, there's probably things that we're missing and things that we could talk about for forever about content creation in our business, and we'll continue to do it. So
yeah.
if you have a question about any of this, feel free to ask, and we can maybe hit it up next week. But
Yeah.
one thing that I wanted to kind of end on is kind of a hypothetical, with us, but it might give some insight to newer businesses, and that's sort of handling business partners. I want to get your take and sort of a little bit of a history lesson from your store, and kind of give some insight into whether you should or should not go in on a Pokemon business with another person or more people. Yeah, I want to get your take.
So, fun story. I actually did not start Poke Legends TCG by myself. I actually had started it with a business partner.
Yep.
Um, and so if you look really far back at my Instagram, you'll see another person was posting a video every once in a while. So that it didn't work out. He had gotten a girlfriend, and it was a long distance relationship, and they were flying back and forth. It just didn't work. He wasn't able to put enough time into it. But one of the enticing things about having a business partner, it kind of goes along with what I was just talking about with time.
Yeah.
If you have a
You get
business
double time.
partner, right? If you have a business partner, there shouldn't be a day that you miss posting a video. There shouldn't be a week that you miss posting a long form video. You should be able to get shipping, done on time. You should have all of your inventory straight and good. And you should be able to scale, to a point where maybe you can't with doing it by yourself. Now, obviously, the con to that is splitting the profit with someone. I understand that, but the main limiting factor, and Logan, I want to get your take on this. The biggest limiting factor that I see, in all honesty, is ambition. It
Yeah.
takes a lot to post post consistently, post good content consistently, to do a podcast every week, to do all the things behind a Pokemon card store, inventory, shipping, website issues, talking back and forth with customers, all of that.
Right.
It absorbs a gigantic portion of your time, and sometimes it's not always fun, right? It's not
Why
always
there's
fun.
days where I'm not always wanting to post a video or edit.
Right. It's not always fun, right? I mean, like the double-edged sword I was talking about earlier with 10 to 15% of my so like sometimes I'll spend 2-3 plus hours on a video, and I'll get 800 views.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I still have to consistently post, because it's a pillar of a Pokemon card business. You have to. But finding someone that has an equal amount of ambition has really been the limiting factor. I mean, I would even consider partnering with someone. Now, depending on what the deal looked like.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'll pause there. Let me get your take on this subject.
Yeah. So I didn't have a business partner. I haven't had a business partner. I don't plan on having a business partner. I think Alex, you hit the nail on the head. I think that the biggest thing is just the want to do this.
Yeah.
You have a lot of people, I'll tell people that I know, friends of friends and people that I'll just hanging out with, and somehow it'll come up that I am running a business. I'm running a Pokemon business. I'm figuring it out. And, it'll come up like, oh, I have 10,000, 13,000 followers on Instagram. And they're like, what? How did you do that? Like, I didn't know you were famous. And I'm like, I'm not famous. It's really just about consistency.
Yeah.
And it's consistency. Not a lot of people are able to be consistent. Yeah. Not a lot of people are able to push through, the lack of motivation, from time to time to get what needs to get done. And I think if you can find someone that is both on the same page as you, both in terms of your ambition and your want to your goals for your business, I think that's step one. But on top of that, you both have to be on the same page in terms of like content creation, strategy about, do you want to focus on English? Do you want to focus on Japanese? Like, there are so many business decisions that I struggle with internally myself, and tacking on another person's opinions that are maybe not necessarily right or wrong, but having to handle that is tough as well. I think it takes a lot to do it by yourself. It takes a very dedicated individual, and if you're that dedicated, then I don't see why you can't at least start without a business partner. But if you think that a business partner will help, you guys can lean on each other for support. If that's sort of what you need to kind of kickstart getting product, like, there are absolutely reasons for it. It's just that I want to be clear that you need to be very, very absolutely certain that you guys are on the same page across a lot of things with regards to the business.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing right there. I mean, so giving a little insight. So it didn't work out with my original business partner because I found myself doing a lot of what needed to be done. And he was busy with other things, and it very quickly deteriorated. I mean, it just, like I said, there are pros and cons of each, but if you are going to have a business partner, it is extremely important that your ambition in particular, you have to figure out everything else too. Like, your opinions you have to be on the same page on stuff. But the most important limiting factor, in my opinion, is going to be your ambitions. How much do you want to do this? How important it is to you. I think is the number one thing. And
one thing that I want to call out, and it's interesting based off of where we are with this current Pokemon market, is there are so many businesses that are being started that will not last more than a year. They're focused on maybe rip and ship, or they're focused on reselling, or what we call scalping. And I think that there are businesses that are looking to make a quick buck, where they're focusing on the hype. They are selling things for way over MSRP, more towards market. And this is just a fad right now that they see. Alex and I have intentions on this being a long-term thing for each of us, where, our long-term goal right now is to get distribution for both of us. We both want English distribution. Well, realistically, unless something crazy happens, the right way to do it, we're still looking at probably a year and a half before the market kind of dies down and people start losing their access to distributors because they were one of the businesses that wanted to flip product. And so that's long-term goal number one, right?
Yeah.
There's a whole other layer, a whole other life of a business after that. And it just goes to show that we are investing in this for the long term, and that's what it just, there's so much work that we've done, and it's just scratching the surface of where we want to go. And so, in terms of a business partner, like that's something you have to consider as well. Is it short term or is it long term? If it's long term, you better make sure that you guys are on the same page.
Yeah, and like to give some context, like I in a little over a year, I started in like mid-July of 2024. I made into now, and it's September of 2025. I've made 469 posts, and probably 90+% of those being videos and being reels. And then Logan has done almost 300 posts.
Yeah.
And almost the vast majority of those being professional, with visualizations, audio, camera angles, cut up in multiple segments to try and get it all to fit together just right. Hours and hours and hours of editing and filming. It takes a lot, man.
Yeah, and that's
I'll end on that.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. We were at time, guys. Thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, please make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoy our content. It lets us know that we're doing things right. Leave a comment if we're doing things, that you think could be better, because that helps us grow, helps, future videos be entertaining for you guys. But with that, I think we're good.
I think we're good. Yeah, and like Logan said, please like and subscribe. Please share this video with your friends, guys. We'd be forever grateful. Thank you for tuning in to the Poketable podcast.
All right. See ya.